Well, we always look forward to spending a little time with our friend Dennis Horton. He's the director of the Rockford Regional Office of the Better Business Bureau. Dennis, good morning to you.
Good morning, Riley. How are you?
I'm doing very well. How's everything going with you?
Really good indeed.
Holiday planning and all that stuff going okay?
Yes, actually, I've done some Christmas shopping, believe it or not.
All right. See, now, here's a guy who knows his way around Christmas shopping. He knows which sites to go and visit that aren't going to burn you. That's one of the great things the Better Business Bureau offers. And you'd sent me a note, Christmas top 10 things to watch out for.
Right. I started thinking about our talk this morning, and I had picked a few things, and then I looked back a little ways and said, well, we do a top 10 Christmas things to look out for. And not to make Christmas and Christmas shopping and all those things an unpleasant experience, we need to know what to look for when we're online shopping, when we're having things delivered to our homes and things like that. So I looked at what I thought were, if you don't want to do all 10, but we get very concerned about our credit card information being stolen or hacked and things like that. Well, it does happen, but if we are taking some precautions and we are making sure that we aren't clicking on links that pop up or ads that you'll find on social media, Facebook, and things like that, where they're promising you spend $50 and you'll get $100 in return, or the Secret Sister scans and things like that, we can be pretty sure if we avoid doing clicking on links and making sure that we are the ones doing the search and not being searched, then we can be pretty safe online. But we do need to take some precautions to make sure that we know who we're dealing with.
Oh yeah, and especially with the one I had read your release on the Secret Sisters thing. Not only can you find yourself burned and out some dough and all that, you could find yourself prosecuted because you're not supposed to involve yourself in that.
That's right, because what we're talking about there really is just a pyramid scheme. You are bilking people, or you're promising people something that you know is not going to happen, and that's fraud, and you can end up in jail for that very easily.
And, nothing wrecks the holidays really more than having to put on the orange jumpsuit when everyone's coming over to the house to unwrap gifts.
Yeah, and if you ask for more gruel, you're probably not going to get it.
Yeah, there's always the gruel issue as well. I'd forgotten about that. So, yeah, watch out for what you click on. That's a good one. Yeah, do the searching. Don't be the one who got searched.
Exactly. And we are going to begin to see a lot of online shopping, of course. But it's important that you make sure that when you get your deliveries, because after all, you spent the money, you want to make sure that the person gets the present. Make sure that when you are doing your delivery instructions, that you give specific instructions as to where you want those packages delivered. Because now is the time when people will simply roam the streets and look for packages that are delivered to front porches all around town.
And we had a story, I think it was within the last 10 days or so, that the Beloit police grabbed up some folks who had been swiping packages off front porches, thanks to some due diligence by neighbors who saw this going on, followed the people, called the police, and an arrest was made. But for every one of those that gets grabbed up, there's probably, 3 dozen who don't.
Exactly. And so that there are, when you are online, you're giving delivery instructions, give specific locations as to where you want it delivered. Make sure that if you have a good neighbor like those in Beloit, ask them to receive your packages if you're not going to be home. Or if you have a back entrance or a side entrance to your house that isn't seen from the street, have them delivered there as opposed to on your front porch where they may be able to be seen. The best idea, if you can, and it's not a problem, is to have them delivered to you at work. That way, there is always someone there to sign for the package if it needs to be signed for, or it's simply delivered to a safe place and it can get to you.
And it doesn't sit on your front porch for 8-9 hours while you're away at work, giving people plenty of opportunity to come by and snag it.
Exactly. So, and also, if it's a very, very expensive gift, make sure you have it insured for its value.
Yeah, there's another idea. Oh, I passed on the insurance. Okay, well, the thing's missing or shattered. What do we do now?
Exactly. Free gift cards. We talk about that all the time, and we see those pop up, especially in social media. Just simply avoid it. We know there's nothing truly free in this world.
Right.
So just keep that in mind. If you see something that says free, unless you do some real due diligence and do some real research, then you're probably best simply to stay away from those kinds of offers.
Yep, because even if you should get lucky on one of them, it will be a surprise. You're more than likely going to get burned because the minute they start asking for personal information, it's going south on you.
Exactly. And another one, because it's really important at this time of the year, I'm calling you from home this morning, and I'm sitting here at my desk, and I have a stack of charity requests. There are many, many charities out there that need and do wonderful work for people. Now is the time of the year when those requests really come out. And first, you beat the income tax season, but also it's right now when there are families out there who aren't as fortunate as others, and there are organizations all around town, nonprofits, that do a wonderful job of making sure that everyone has a good Christmas, or the services they provide throughout the year must be paid for. Now is the time when they're making those appeals. And when you are considering making donations to organizations, make sure you know who you're dealing with. If you get a phone call from someone asking you to donate, don't simply just say, yes, here's my credit card number. Ask them to send you the information in the mail so that you have an opportunity to read it over and make sure that they are doing the kinds of work that you support. Also, that the money is going to the people as opposed to the operation of the organization solely. Our goal here is to help others, and we know that there is overhead in the cost of doing operations. I work for a nonprofit. I know what it's like. But also, we want to make sure that those dollars are going to the right people.
And a legit agency should not be bothered in the slightest with you saying, I'm very interested. I need you to send me, though, through the mail, some information that I can fill out or take it from there. Because if they're legit, then of course they're going to send it to you.
Exactly. If they need the money today, they'll need it tomorrow. And you should understand that. So they will certainly be willing to wait.
All right, we're running down some of the Christmas top 10 things to watch out for. All of them valuable, and all of them, might be things that never occurred to me.
Now, I want to move on a little bit more because here's a little bit of bad news for 2019.
Okay.
I looked at a report recently that said just in October we had 5.8 billion calls that were calls or robocalls or scam calls. Now, we've talked about this before, but the prediction, and it came from an operation called First Orion, and they've analyzed those 50 billion calls over the past 18 months. And their data says that by 2019, nearly half of all the phone calls, all of the calls we get, will be automated calls. Many of those calls are scam calls. So when you consider that there are 5.8 billion calls made to all of us across the U.S. In October, half of those calls will be robocalls or scam calls. I had to sit down and rest for a bit to think about how are we going to battle this. It's an issue that's not going to go away. Technology has made it easy for these scammers and robo-dialers to operate, but it is simply going to get worse. And when you look at, half of the calls we get will be calls that we don't want to take, it's really disheartening.
It is, and it's one of those, how are you going to combat that? Are we just going to get to the point that we're not going to answer our phone? If it doesn't show up as someone we know implicitly, then we're just going to blow it off?
Yes, finding a legal or a law enforcement remedy to the problem is not likely going to be the solution. So it's going to be one that we're going to have to take. And it will be, fighting technology with technology. We'll have to search out and find those programs for our phones and download those so that we can be alerted that this may be a scam call or that it's a robocall that you may not want to take. And the simplest thing, let it go to voicemail. And if it's someone important, they'll leave a message.
Yeah, and that's the way, I look at it now. I do a whole lot more phone screening than I did before because, like you had mentioned, I'm to the point now that I'm getting more calls per day that are robocalls, automated dialing, scam, whatever else, that I'm getting legit calls.
Yes, and unfortunately, Riley, I told you I'm being the bearer of bad news. It's only going to get worse.
Okay. All right. So more phone screening apparently is going to be the short-term key to getting through this, and hopefully some technology will arise that will help us in further ways. But, yeah, that's going to be a big pain.
Yes, I think, the phone companies are really going to step up their game, or at least we hope they will step up their game, too, and help us avoid, one, getting ripped off by some scammer, and the nuisance calls that we will be getting.
Yeah, because those are a colossal pain. And the last thing on our list, employment issues.
These aren't necessarily scams, but it's an issue that we see every single day in our office. Dwayne tells me, Dan, you should hear this call that I just got, or you should have heard this call. It's from someone who has worked all week or the last 2 weeks and then find they're not getting a paycheck, or they're being told, or they get their paycheck and it bounces. We are hearing this so much more frequently, and to be honest with you, I just want to issue a warning to people because I really haven't done a lot of background yet, but I really plan to do that to find out what might be going on here, that there are so many people who are finding that they're working for a company or an individual or someone who has them do the job and then they don't get paid for their work. We should look at when we are going to work for someone or applying for a job that we are interviewing that company or that individual just as they are interviewing us, and make sure that we know what we're getting into just as that employer wants to know who they're hiring. We need to make sure that this company that you went to work for doesn't have a bad history. And very often when the people call us, they've never checked to find out if this has been a problem for this company in the past. Do some research. Call us at the BBB and ask us about this company because we have information on who they are, how long they've been in business, who their principals are, so that we can warn you in advance that there are some issues. It may not show in our database as an employment issue, but if we see that they have an incredible complaint history, there are problems that may be intrinsic in the way they do business. And it's just a warning. So I want people to think before they go to work for someone. Make sure that you have checked out that company, because you don't want to go to work and work 40 hours a week and find out in the end that you're not getting paid for the work done.
Yeah, and with no recourse. What do I do now? Now I don't have the job. Now I don't have the money that I was promised for the work that I did. Who do I turn to? What do I do?
Exactly. And we get the calls because, we're the Better Business Bureau, but one of the issues that we don't handle are employee-employer relations issues. So we will simply direct people to the Illinois Department of Labor. They take these things very, very seriously, and they don't wait for there to be a mounting number of individuals who are affected. If you call because you have not been paid, they want to know about it, and they will respond to that issue almost immediately. So that is the one recourse that you have, provided that they can find the individual who is supposed to have paid you.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Assuming that person hasn't ducked out, canceled the business, moved on, worked offshore to begin with. There are some hoops to jump through.
That's right. So just make sure that you know who you're dealing with. And it's like that in almost all things that we do. Know who you're dealing with before you sign on the dotted line.
And for people who want to take your advice, and they most certainly should, which is call you guys ahead of time and ask about the business, what's the number to call?
815-963-2222.
Yeah, get on the phone. That's why the Better Business Bureau is here. They have done this sort of work for decades. They do it better than anybody else, and they can keep you from having a really, really big problem. I got to look at this visit this morning, Dennis, as like an early Christmas gift. I mean, you've given us things to look out for. You've warned us about how things are going to go in the future as far as the phone goes, and maybe help somebody avoid, having a paycheck withheld that they deserved.
Thank you.
I'm just really glad for all the help, and we'll look forward to the next time we can talk.
I look forward to talking with you again, Riley.
There we go.
Day.
There's our friend Dennis Horton. He's the director of the Rockford Regional Office of the Better Business Bureau.